Hey, teachers, welcome back to the Let's Talk Teaching podcast. I am your host, Kayla Durkin, and I just want to say I hope you're all having a great week. I know I kind of gave you some tough love last week. I know that there are so many of you just going through so many different emotions. So I really want to know, how are you doing this week? But how are you really doing this week? Are you doing okay? Are you struggling? How are you adjusting to all of these new things? Some of you have been teaching for a while. Some of you are brand new teachers. Some of you have never done this before, and everything is just so new to you. So, I really hope that you're over the moon and that things are going better than you ever could have imagined. But if they aren't, I want you to know that that's okay too. As we kind of shared about last week, there are some teachers who are really struggling. And I do just want to get across that it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to not know all the things. You are entering a year that's going to teach you more than you could have ever imagined. A year where you're going to be challenged, encouraged, disappointed, enlightened, and you're going to be growing all at the same times. And sometimes it's going to be all in one day. You are going to go through so many things, so many up and downs, all through just one single day of teaching. So I just want you to know, wherever you're at, however you're feeling, if you're on top of the moon or if you feel like you're just lying in a ditch trying to survive, just know that we're here for you and I'm thinking of you. This year is probably going to push you out of your comfort zone. It's going to show you that you're capable of more than you know. And honestly, it's probably going to start shaping you into the educator that you've always dreamed of becoming and that you were born to be. So, as we kick off this year, I do just want to talk with you about a few things. So, last week we talked about how to control what you can control. And just remember, we cannot control our class size, how many meetings we have, if our plans have to be written a certain way, or if we have supportive admin or parents. But what we can control is our mind and our attitude, our outlook, and our preparedness. We can take steps and find systems that are going to help us take control and make our day just a little bit easier. We get to control how we're going to react. We get to control how we're going to move forward. We get to control how we're going to treat our students, our staff, our admin, and our parents. So when your day starts out wrong or it just isn't going how you thought it would go, I want you to take a few breaths and I just want you to find in that moment one positive through that situation. Your class might be totally chaotic, out of control. But find that one student who's on task and listening. Find that one thing that is going right there in the moment. Stop, take a few deep breaths, and then continue on. If we can take time to find the positive through all of the craziness, all of the hecticness that is happening during these first few days, first few weeks, I really do believe that our outlook and our attitude and our mindset is just going to be that much better. There are for sure going to be things that it's like, you've got to be kidding me. Like a scissors flying across the classroom, a student coming in and just being so disrespectful. There are going to be things that you just wouldn't have even thought would happen, especially when you're teaching those younger grades or even those older grades when we're thinking, like, okay, these kids have done this now for 8, 9, 10 years. They should know the drill, they should know how to do this. But every single year, we are starting over, we are starting again from scratch. We have students who really haven't been used to having to listen to anyone for the past 3 months. We have students who haven't had to sit for very long. We have students who have been able to do whatever they want to do. Maybe they don't have a ton of parental guidance in their life. And so just remember that the students that are in our classroom right now, yes, they should know better, but they're not always going to do better. They're sometimes going to just be challenging, difficult students who maybe are just super busy and are asking for love in the most unloving ways. So we want to control what we can control when our day is just not going how we thought it would go. We just, again, need to take those few breaths and really try to find the positive. We are in the business of shaping young minds, and we need our minds to be clear in order to do that. So I just wanted to start off today with a few examples. Let's just say that you receive an email and it rubs you the wrong way. I do not want you to reply right there in that moment. I want you to wait. I want you to take time to think through what that email is asking of you, whether it's from an admin, whether it's from a parent, and just be a problem solver in that moment. So, if the email's from an administration and maybe they're saying we need to make all of these changes and it's going to affect your schedule or whatever it is, instead of replying back and saying, you know what, that's not going to work for me, yada, 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 and kind of being snippy or something like that, really just take time to think, okay, last week we talked about what's the worst that could happen? If you have to change your schedule, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe you have to retype up a few things. Maybe your planners needs to look a little bit different. Maybe you need to adjust something on your computer on a document. But what is the worst that could happen? So try to be a problem solver and really just take time to think through that email. Or maybe it is, for instance, an email that's coming from a parent, and maybe they're questioning what happened in class or the way you run your classroom. Of course, you might be offended when you read that email, but this is your opportunity to build a relationship with that parent. Maybe this parent had a hard time in school, never got along with their teachers, was always in trouble. Maybe school just gives them a bad taste. Maybe this parent is legitimately concerned with what happened in class. Instead of a snippy response or saying something that you might regret later, let's just take time to think through our response. I want to remind you that anything you put in an email is public record, and unfortunately, it can be used against you. And I would hope that doesn't happen to anyone, but it does happen. Emails get posted online. They get posted on Facebook saying, "Can you believe my child's teacher just sent me this email?" You do not want that blasted. You do not want that going anywhere. So, instead, when we're thinking about how we're going to respond, again, we're going to take time to think through this. Maybe the email comes in at 4 o'clock when you're leaving. And you know what? 4 o'clock is the end of your contract time. So you're going to take time to think about it that night. And maybe you come back to school with a fresh mind tomorrow morning. You get there a little bit early, and then you're going to sit down and reply to it during your contracted hours. Maybe it comes in the morning and you're going to wait till the end of the day to sit down and reply to it. You don't have to reply to it right away in that moment, but I do always want you to get back to every email in 24 hours unless it's a weekend. If it comes in on a Friday night, don't worry about it till Monday. Other than that, if it is school day, it is contracted time, 24 hours to reply to that email. So, first and foremost, when we're thinking about how we're going to reply, I really want you to be overly understanding of their concerns. And honestly, I really do want you to kill them with kindness. I want you to be so kind that it's impossible for them to want to send a nasty email back. And when I say kill them with kindness, I truly do need it to be genuine. We do not want to send anything that sounds sarcastic or like we don't mean it. Whenever we are replying to these emails, I always try to use the sandwich method. I'm not sure if you've heard of this method before, but we're going to start out by saying something really positive. Then we're going to get into the meat of our sandwich or the burger of our hamburger, whatever you want to call it. And this is going to be the part that's a little bit tougher. And then we're going to end with something positive. So you may start your email out by saying, "Dear parent, thank you so much for taking the time to email me and addressing your concerns. I truly want the best for your child, and I hope we can work together to find an understanding." Now, that might not fit every single situation that you have, but for the most part, you're just trying to say something positive like, "I truly hear you. I hear you have concerns. I don't want you to feel that way. So let's find a solution together. You are partners in this. You and that parent together are partnering up to raise this child. They're raising that child at home. You're raising that child in school. So, together, you want to start out by saying something positive, how you are going to come up with a solution together. Then, from there, You're going to get into the middle part of our sandwich, the tough part. But with this, you still, again, need to stay as positive as possible. And you need to be sure to not point any fingers. You're not saying, so and so said this, so and so said this, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. No, we are not going to do any of that. It is best to avoid saying anything that could possibly be an assumption. And so, in those instances when you need to get a point across, but you don't want to point any fingers or do any assumptions, you might possibly say, I thought I overheard something to the manner of, but again, I didn't quite hear it. Or, just saying things that it's not truly going to say, like, and your child said this, and this is what happened, and I'm really frustrated about it. We want to make sure it's just as positive as possible and that we are avoiding conflict at all costs, because that's the point. We do not want to send an email that's going to make them even more frustrated when they receive it. So, anyway, from there, we are going to end with lots of positives again, and we're going to sign off. We're going to sign our name, and maybe then we're going to think about, okay, I think this is a really good email, but now I need someone else to look over it. Oh, I forgot to mention something. I also wanted to say that when you're saying those positives at the end, some positive examples could be each day when they walk in, their smiles just light up our classroom, and their personality just adds so much. We love having them in our room, or just something that is going to be really positive, that's going to show the parents that you know their child on a personal level. And then from there, you can sign off. But before you hit send, I really want you to take some time to have someone else look through that if you are questioning it at all. If there's any part of that where you're like, I don't know if I should have worded it that way. I don't know if I should have put it like that. Find someone you trust. But I'm saying like a someone, like a one singular person. You're not going to say, I need you to look at it and you to look at it and you to look at it and start all this drama. Nope, no, thank you. We're not in the business of having drama either. You are going to find one trusted adult. It could be an admin, it could be a parent, or I'm sorry, it could be a teacher from the previous year. It could be the counselor, someone who knows that student very, very closely. Maybe you have them look over it. And then once you both agree, yep, it's personal, it's professional, it's okay to send, maybe then you send it. Now, if the email seems like it's something that's really sensitive and you just truly have no idea how to respond, this is a great opportunity for a phone call. You could either call them directly and simply say, hey, you know what? I got your email and I really want to make sure that we can talk this out. I don't want you to have any hard feelings whatsoever. Or maybe you reply directly to them in that email and say kind of the same things we said before. Dear parent, thank you so much for taking time to email me and address your concerns. I truly want the best for your child, and I hope we can work together to find an understanding. I am available for a phone call during X, Y, and Z time. Feel free to call me then, or let me know when would be a good time that I can call you. Kindly, your name. Sign off right then and there. Then you don't have to worry about putting any super details into that email. But again, when you have that phone call, stay positive, do not play the blame game, avoid conflict at all cost. Now, I have had some parent emails come in that they're not mad by any means, but it's just such a sensitive topic. Like, we're talking self harm and abuse that's coming in through these emails. And emails just aren't always the best way, and sometimes phone calls can be even harder. And so, in those instances, I know that I personally do not have a degree in counseling and I don't have all of the answers. And so, this is where I really am going to search out some help and make sure that I'm approaching it in a professional manner and getting the minimum number of people involved. We never want to gossip about students ever. And in these cases, we really do need to keep this information as private as possible. And then from there, I know I'm kind of spiraling all over the place here, but with these really sensitive emails, I really need you to know that you are also a mandate reporter. If something comes through in your email and you're like, this is not okay, this is not right, we need to make sure that we get in contact with our chain of command and know how we need to file that or report it. Okay. So gosh, I'm kind of all over the place, but my point being here is you might get emails that come in and upset you. You might get emails that come in and offend you. You might get emails that you think, no, they have totally the wrong impression. They have totally the wrong opinion. This isn't what happened. I need to set the story straight. No, you do not. You do not need to set the story straight, quote unquote. You need to be the professional. You need to be the bigger person. You need to control what you can control. And in this instance, you can control being that bigger person and taking time to address these things in a positive and an appropriate manner. Okay. Wow. I really did not anticipate that being so much. But the next thing I wanted to chat about today, we're talking about how we're in control of what we can control, and we are also in control of our mind and our attitude. And so when things just aren't going our way, like I said before, first things first, just take a deep breath. And if it's something that you need more than one deep breath, take three or take five or take 10. Maybe you can step right outside your door where you can still monitor your students, but you're not like right there in the chaos of it all. Maybe you can just step right outside, take your deep breaths, reset yourself and walk back in. If you absolutely do not have the capabilities of just stepping right outside your door where you can still see your students, then maybe instead you pretend you're looking in a cupboard and you just take 10 seconds for yourself. You just look into that cupboard. You're looking so hard for absolutely nothing at all except for some peace and some sanity. And you take those 10 deep breaths, you reset, and then you turn around and you put that big teacher smile on and you do it all over again. During these first few weeks, we are just beginning to lay the foundation for our routines and procedures. Our students are not used to sitting for such long periods of time. They're not used to having to put their brains to work. Like, I know sometimes the activities they do require a little bit of brain movement, but they're probably just not putting their brains to work quite the same way in the summer as they need to be during the school year. They aren't used to having to ask to use the restroom, to have a snack, or to talk during an appropriate time. I know we do all want to keep our classrooms fun and engaging at all times, and we like to pretend there's not a single moment that our students can't not talk or need to sit still. But I'm also a realist, and I know that sometimes we do need time for quiet work too. And I know that having that self control for our class is really important. Taking that time for mindful activities where our students are taking time to just be zen and zone in on what they need to zone in on. That is all good too. And that also can happen in your classroom. It's okay if they're not always doing the coolest, most fun activities at all times. But during these things, we might have students who are struggling with this. And when students are struggling, first and foremost, just take those couple seconds when you're taking those deep breaths and maybe just think through like, why are they acting out right now? What's different? What about this is causing them to do that? Maybe we have one student doing it. Maybe we have all 25 students who are doing this. And so if in that case, sometimes we just need to take time to reteach our routines and procedures. It takes 66 days for routines to fall into place. That means that it will likely be around October, maybe even November if you have a really late start, before we truly feel like we have a handle on the day. One of my personal favorite things to do when students are getting wild and crazy is asking for friends to remind us of what we're supposed to be doing, or calling on students and giving positive praise to the ones who are doing the right thing instead of calling out the ones who are doing the negative thing. So, for example, I might call on Susie and I might say, "Hey, Susie, can you remind me during this time, what are the three appropriate tasks that we're working on?" And maybe Susie says one of them. And then I say, "Johnny, can you think of another one?" And then I say, "Ezekiel, can you think of the third one?" Or maybe I say, "You know what, Sarah, I love how you are on task and working so hard right now. Johnny, I love that you are coloring with such passion, and I love that you are keeping all of your supplies in your box. I love that Leah over across the room is doing XYZ." If we are able to take time to call out the students that are doing the right thing instead of worrying about calling out the students that are doing the wrong thing, Sometimes those students that are doing the wrong thing, they're going to be like, oh, I need to get that positive praise right now, too. So instead, I'm going to do what I need to be doing instead of what I am doing and should not be doing. A lot of times, students are acting out because they're looking for attention. And so, if we can give them attention through positive praise, things are going to be so much, so much, so much more easier. Think through, why are they acting all loud and crazy? Oh, well, they just came in from recess and they were playing a super fun game, and that super fun game is carrying into the classroom. No, it's not appropriate that they're acting so loud and crazy right now. But instead of getting mad at them for acting like that, you know what you could do instead? You could say, I'm hearing right now that you guys have so much energy from outside, and I understand that we need to get into our math block now. So I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Tell all your friends everything you want to tell them. And when that 1 minute is up, we're going to get back to work and we are going to get out our math books and start our math block or whatever it is. We just need to be in control of what we can control. We can't control that they came in from recess being loud and crazy and chaotic, but we can control that, you know what, they have a lot of energy they need to get out right now. So I'm going to let them share all the things they need to share. And in 1 minute, we're going to get back to work. We need to just give our students those fresh starts every day, every second, every minute, every hour, every time they come back from a transition, whatever it is. We deserve fresh starts throughout the day, and so do our students. If snack time is getting a little wild, give them a fresh start going into math. If math is a little rough, give them a fresh start when they go to lunch. We need to make sure that we are taking time to control what we can control. And you know what? We can't control that that student was misbehaving in that moment, but we also can't hold that against that student all day long. Yeah, it's a bummer that that happened, but let's move on in a positive manner. Teaching is so darn hard. Your days are going to be filled with so many ups and downs. Your students might be angels 1 minute, and then the opposite moment, they are the opposite of angels. You're going to go through all of the emotions in the next few days, weeks, months, and I mean, honestly, just throughout the course of the year. But just remember, you are doing a good job. You are who your students need you to be. You are an incredible teacher. You are enough. And I just need you to know that the things that you're doing every single day, they matter. It's important, and we do care about the things that you are doing. In the day to day, it might just seem like you're going through the motions, but the things that you are doing, they are really important. So keep doing those things, keep practicing your routines, keep showing up, keep giving yourself grace. You've absolutely got this. So, there was actually a lot more that I was hoping to talk about today, but I went into some tangents and I think we're already close to 20 minutes. So I think we will call it a day for today, and we'll connect back soon and continue on with this conversation. If you are listening to this on Friday, I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I hope that you take time for you. I hope you take time to relax. I hope you take time to be a human being in an appropriate way, of course. And I hope you just take time to just be. I want you to be prepared for next week, but I also want you to feel refreshed and ready for another great week ahead. Prioritize what's on your to do list, figure out what absolutely has to be done and ready for Monday, maybe even Tuesday. And then from there, maybe you just let it go and let the rest be what it's going to be, and you'll figure it out on Monday after school. You'll figure it out on Tuesday after school. You are doing great things. I can't wait to hear about them. If you haven't shared what's going on with me yet, come on over, send me a message on Instagram at North Dakota Teaching. I am always here to help with anything I absolutely can possibly help you with. And if I can't help you, I'm always here to help you find someone who can help you as well. So have a fantastic day, have a fantastic weekend, and we'll chat soon.